So while the ICE surge in Minnesota was supposed to be focused on serious offenders, there are various sources of evidence from photographs, videos, and internal documents that actually paint a really different picture. And what it shows is that ICE agents have been leaning really heavily on things like biometric surveillance and this kind of interconnected databases that they've built over the previous year or years. The Associated Press basically said that this highlighted how ICE has built this sprawling digital surveillance system, and that's how it's kind of tackling its immigration crackdown. And then on the same day, the New York Times reported ICE is using facial recognition, social media monitoring, and other kind of technical tools to track protesters as well as undocumented immigrants. So for instance, they highlighted the case of one American citizen who was stopped in her car by an ICE agent, and he then kind of greeted her by name and then told her that she had been identified through facial recognition. And then 3 days later, she received an email from Homeland Security basically saying that her global entry and TSA travel privileges had been revoked. And they didn't offer any kind of explanation, but the timing seems a little bit more than coincidental. Wired then reported that ICE has formally asked various companies to provide information about their commercial big data and ad tech products, that they wanted to know whether they would directly support investigation activities. So essentially what they're trying to do is expand the kind of technical tools that they have available to use for either law enforcement and surveillance. And then even as this kind of surveillance expansion has happened, the administration has sought to cut funding for body cams. When body cams are worn by agents, in some ways that they are protective of people that they arrest or detain because they provide evidence of what happened. And there's been a lot of kind of increased urgency to increase the amount of body cams worn by ICE agents, given what's been going on in Minnesota, particularly the death of 2 American citizens. But the Department for Homeland Security has proposed reducing spending on body cams in its initial budget proposal. Then there's ICE and the rule of law. Last week, 16 people were charged in Minnesota with assaulting immigration agents during a protest. The US Attorney General Pam Bondi basically posted their photos on social media. And the judge in the case said she was deeply disturbed by this, and that basically images of people who are presumed innocent until proven guilty should not be shared on social media. And the judge went on to say, this conduct is not something that the court condones. And then on the same day, another federal judge in Minnesota said that ICE was flouting the law by ignoring dozens of federal court orders just during January 2026. So he cited at least 96 federal court orders that he said ICE has violated across 74 cases. And he wrote in his ruling, this list should give pause to anyone, no matter his or her political beliefs, who cares about the rule of law, and that ICE has likely violated more court orders in January 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence.